Boxing fans, this is going to be a weekend to remember. There's major fights all weekend long, and I know you are not going to want to miss a single second. And while you're watching, don't forget to get in on all the action with my partners, DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings is offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. So don't wait. Sign up right now. All you got to do is download the DraftKings app. When you sign up, use my promo code Sonnen. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in same-game parlays for a chance at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same fight. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress fights as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Pick 6, giving you a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers use my promo code Sonnen. Bet just $5 and you will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code Sonnen only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Had a call. Very incredible source. And we're actually discussing something completely off the issue. And before we got off, I said, hey, by the way, let me talk shop with you real fast. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. Is there any legs to Aspinall versus Surreal? Are they looking and going in the direction of having Tom fight somebody other than Jon? And he said, I haven't actually heard a single thing about it in terms of Surreal and Tom. He said, I don't actually have any info, but I will tell you this. He said, being undefeated, and he said, I know about the Hamill fight, but in his mind, being undefeated is very, very important to Jon. And he said, but Jon would leave this sport and go do boxing. He'd go do one of those huge boxing matches. He'd fight Tyson Fury. And he said the reason he would do it isn't just for the money. He said he could live with it. Jon Jones, this person knows Jon very well. Jon Jones could live with being defeated in the boxing ring. He could live with losing a match in jiu-jitsu. But he would not be able to live, it's a very big thing, with the loss inside the cage. And the guy got very personal about it. And he was very pro-Jon. I just want to preview with that. If it sounds as though this was negative, no, this guy was very pro-Jon. And he just said, but listen, we've had trouble having him focus. We've had trouble with decisions that have gone outside the ring. And he said, but some of that drinking had to do with personal things that were going on in his life, and they were bothering him, and it was a little bit of an escape. It was a little bit of a coping mechanism, things that you don't know anything about, things that people don't know anything about. Like, he wasn't just Mr. Party Hound. He had his own turmoils, and he had his own way of dealing with some of them. And he said, so you really have to understand from this perspective. All of those things would be smaller in Jon's own mind than a defeat in the octagon. And he said, it could send him in a direction that us close to him are concerned about. All right. Now, interesting take, by the way, because there is something very personal going on here that's hard to understand. Jon Jones needs and likes money like anybody. His fight with Tom Aspinall, based on projections, we don't know what it's going to be, and you hear all this back-end business, but we all believe to be the highest payout in UFC history. And if you look at Jon Jones and you look at all the other fights he did, if it's the highest payout against Tom, and he did all the other fights, and he did them for the money, they were all enough money, and they were not as much as Tom, then it would seem that we've got that piece of this covered.
And the guy I was talking to, he just said he's not going to allow Tom to make a name off him. And he said he doesn't have a huge confidence that he would get the immediate rematch. And he said that's a little bit of the problem behind the scenes that some people aren't understanding. Jon is well aware that he's had turmoil at times, but he's also well aware that his shelf life is small. Another year, another couple of matches, whereas Tom Aspinall has a decade, 30 more matches in theory. And he said if Jon goes out there and the money isn't right and he was to lose to Tom and they did not give him an immediate rematch and they took that story and they took Tom and off they go, what would they do with Jon? Where would they put him? If they weren't putting him in main events or world title fights, they're essentially like that level of fall, that level of demotion is just so great that that's part of what is spearing the drive where he's saying, you're going to have to cover a very big spread. And it was a very interesting take. It was very insightful and it sounded right, by the way. I must tell you, I've never considered it from that perspective. Just never thought to. Whatever happens to Aspinall in that fight, as the kids say, it's all good. He's going to have one of the biggest checks ever signed. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to fight for world championships. If Jon gets the jump on him, Jon is very possible going to vacate the belt right there in that moment, of which Tom would just come back and fight for the belt, pick up the pieces. Opportunities present themselves, and if they don't, something else will. And a year from now, no one's going to remember this anyway, and you're 3, 4, 5, 6 fights down the road in the snap of a finger. But it wouldn't be that way for Jon. What would happen with Jon? Do you have a need for Jon if he's not champion? And that's a tough one to answer. It really is. Because it appears that the answer is no. No. He doesn't do a great job of building fights. There aren't anybody that's going to call him out. He's not savvy enough to call anybody out. So now what do we do? Where do we put him? If we make the decision, we're not going to rematch him with Tom. We're going to take this that Tom gets and we're going to run. We're going to go in that direction with Tom. And history in the business, that would be perfectly fine and in line. But if they do that, then what do you do with him? And if you believe that you could do something with Jon as a non-champion, it would seem that you would have done it because Jon himself even knows it's a little weird that they didn't come after my belt. It's a little weird I've never even been threatened. This is all according to the guy I'm on the phone with. And Jon has a concern. They don't know what to do with me if I'm not champion. And if Tom beats me and he doesn't give me a rematch or they won't guarantee me a rematch, what do they plan to do with me? And I just thought that it was a very interesting take. And it also, I gained a respect, I gained an understanding, maybe, to the inside of Jon. If that, in fact, is accurate information, that Jon is worried about an immediate rematch and doesn't believe he's going to get it, can look at the board and see that he's 36 and on his way out, and this guy is 20-something on his way up. And he even questions why they left the belt with him. To the point that he's saying, if they knew what to do with me not as champion, they'd have already done it. That's very objective. And I don't know the answer to those questions, but apparently, not having answered to those questions. And there are times, right, you only know if you're the negotiator and you're trying to put something together and it doesn't cross your mind that a guy's thinking about something. It's very hard to do. I mean, I will tell you, till I'm blue in the face, you would have got Khabib versus Conor Part 2. You did not understand why you weren't getting it. And it wasn't because of the $8 million or the $12 million. It had nothing to do with the money. It had to do with defeating the hardest opponent, which is the scale. And if you would have made the fight at 170, you would have got it. So is it as simple as guaranteeing Jon a rematch? Very, very interesting point at a minimum.